always thought my wedding day would be the happiest day of my life. I imagined walking down the aisle, my father proudly watching me, and the man I loved waiting for me at the altar. But instead, I stood there, moments away from saying I do, knowing both of them had betrayed me in the most disgusting way possible. My fiancé and my stepmother. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I smiled, because I had planned something they'd never forget, and in front of hundreds of guests. I was about to ruin them both. Before I take you through every painful detail, I want you to imagine, what would you do if the two people you trusted most stabbed you in the back? Would you stay silent or burn everything down? Because I chose revenge. Stay with me. I'm Vanessa, 29 years old, working in public relations. My life was comfortable. I worked hard, I had a good group of friends, and until recently, I thought I was blessed with a picture-perfect family. My mother passed away when I was in college. Losing her nearly broke me, but my father did his best to keep us both afloat. 2 years after Mom died, my father met Cassandra. She was young. Not shockingly young, but enough for people to raise their eyebrows. I remember thinking it was odd, seeing my 48-year-old father with a 32-year-old woman. But after losing my mother, I just wanted him to be happy again. And honestly, Cassandra seemed sweet, attentive, and genuinely interested in bonding with me. Over time, she integrated herself into our lives, and eventually, they got married. I'll admit it stung, but Cassandra wasn't trying to replace my mom. At least, that's what I thought. Slowly, she became a normal part of our family. Holidays, birthdays, even Sunday brunches. Then came Ryan. I met him through work. He was charming, funny, ambitious, all the things you'd want in a man. Our relationship grew fast. He clicked with my friends, and surprisingly, got along incredibly well with my family. My dad approved. Cassandra was always excited to see us together. I used to think, wow, how lucky am I? Everything seemed to be falling perfectly into place. 2 years into our relationship, Ryan proposed in front of everyone during my birthday. My father cried, Cassandra hugged me tight, and I felt complete. Like I finally got my fairy tale back after all the losses. Our wedding planning became a full-time operation. Between my PR job and organizing every tiny detail of the ceremony, I barely had a moment to breathe. Thankfully, Dad stepped up in a big way. He was always offering help, encouraging me to take breaks, and making sure everything stayed on track. Cassandra, on the other hand, she took involvement to a whole different level. At first, I was grateful. She went to every bridal fitting with me, stayed up late helping me pick invitation designs, and organized most of the vendor meetings. I even joked to my friends that Cassandra was more excited about the wedding than I was. But beneath that excitement, there were moments that unsettled me. It was subtle. Tiny little things most people wouldn't have noticed, like how Cassandra's face would light up when Ryan arrived at family dinners, or how she always sat next to him, even when there were open seats closer to me. One time, I noticed she laughed just a little too hard at one of his stupid jokes. Again, small, meaningless things. Or so I thought. Ryan, too, started acting differently. He used to be attentive, texting me sweet messages throughout the day. That slowly changed. He was constantly busy, or in meetings. When I asked about it, he blamed it on pre-wedding stress or work deadlines. I believed him. Why wouldn't I? Then there were the overlapping schedules. Cassandra would go out for spa days or visit old friends around the same time Ryan suddenly had out-of-town meetings. On 2 occasions, they both returned home at oddly similar hours, looking a bit disheveled. Still, I ignored it. I blamed it on my own paranoia. Every bride feels stressed before a wedding, right? One evening, Cassandra came into my room to show me centerpiece options. Her phone buzzed on the table, and for a split second, a notification popped up. Ryan's name, with a heart emoji. My chest tightened, but she quickly flipped the phone over and continued talking, pretending nothing happened. My head screamed at me to ask, but I didn't. I smiled. I nodded. I played along, because in my heart, I still wanted to believe in my perfect little world. I still wanted to be the girl who had it all. A loving fiancé, a caring stepmother, a proud father. Questioning them meant destroying everything I thought I had built. But the universe wasn't going to let me stay blind for much longer. 2 weeks before the wedding, the truth fell right into my lap. It happened on a completely normal Tuesday. I had just gotten back from a final dress fitting, exhausted but buzzing with excitement. My father was out of town for a business meeting, and Cassandra was home alone. I dropped by to go over some wedding details. Cassandra was in the kitchen, scrolling through her phone and drinking wine. Her phone buzzed, and she excused herself to the bathroom, leaving it unlocked on the counter. I didn't think much of it until I caught sight of Ryan's name lighting up the screen. Again. Curiosity got the better of me. My fingers hesitated, but my instincts were screaming. I tapped on the message. At first, it was harmless, a short joke. Then another text popped up, this time. Last night was incredible. Can't wait to see you again. My heart dropped to my stomach. I scrolled up. The thread went back weeks. Late-night flirting, hidden lunch dates, a few explicit photos I could never unsee. I remember standing there frozen, my mind trying to find excuses, explanations. Maybe it was some weird inside joke? Maybe. I didn't finish that thought. My fingers shook as I kept scrolling. The messages got dirtier. Ryan called her baby. Cassandra sent him mirror selfies from our guest bathroom, the same bathroom Ryan used whenever he stayed over. I felt sick. I felt my entire chest cave in. My brain couldn't comprehend it. My fiancé and my stepmother? How? Why? I closed the messages, but something inside me snapped. I opened Cassandra's photo gallery, and there it was. Secret albums, screenshots of hotel bookings, selfies of them together in places they claimed they had never been. My wedding was a complete joke. I wanted to scream, to throw the phone, to storm into the bathroom and confront her. But I didn't. I placed the phone back down, forced myself to smile when Cassandra returned, and excused myself. I didn't trust myself to speak without completely losing it. I got into my car and sat there, shaking. Everything inside me burned. The betrayal wasn't just from Ryan. It was from Cassandra, too. She was supposed to be family, someone who claimed to love me like her own daughter. I called my best friend, Emma. Through tears and stuttering, I told her everything. She was silent for a few seconds, then said, "You need to get proof. Real proof. Don't blow up now. Make them pay where it hurts." That night, I didn't sleep. I stayed up, documenting every piece of evidence. Screenshots, voice memos, email forwards. I even synced Cassandra's cloud to my laptop, pulling every hidden file she thought was safe. It was worse than I imagined. Ryan wasn't just unfaithful, he was calculating. Cassandra wasn't just disloyal, she was predatory. There were conversations about manipulating my father, about using me to secure money, influence, and comfort. The image of the perfect family I built in my head shattered into a million sharp, painful pieces. By morning, my tears had dried, replaced by something much colder. Rage. I wasn't going to confront them in private. They didn't deserve a quiet breakup. They deserved public humiliation, just like the lies they wrapped me in. For the next 2 weeks, I plotted. Every smile, every conversation, every interaction, I played along. They thought I was the clueless, happy bride-to-be. But inside, I was sharpening the knife. That morning, after collecting every vile message and disgusting picture, I knew I had 2 choices: either walk away quietly or make sure neither of them would ever forget what they did to me. Quiet wasn't my style. They didn't deserve peace. They deserved destruction. I started by consulting my friend Emma. She was a lawyer, sharp and ruthless when it came to protecting herself. She told me, if you want to blow this up without getting sued later, you need to be smart about it. That was the moment my plan truly formed. Not just to humiliate them, but to protect myself while doing it. The first thing I did was back up everything onto a private hard drive and 2 separate cloud accounts. I created a hidden email address with no identifiable information linking back to me. From there, I purchased a private web domain. On this site, I uploaded every screenshot, every voice recording, and every juicy detail of their little affair. The website had no title, no credits, just cold, hard truth. Emma helped me draft a statement in case anyone tried to come after me legally. The materials I uploaded weren't manipulated, not stolen. Cassandra had left her phone unlocked, and Ryan had sent those messages to a phone on my family's shared Wi-Fi. Everything was within my legal rights to access. I wasn't defaming anyone. I was sharing the truth. I even researched the venue's layout. I needed to know where every guest would be seated. Cassandra had already arranged table numbers, and I politely asked the wedding planner for a final chart, pretending it was for place cards. The planner happily emailed me the detailed layout, exactly what I wanted. I ordered hundreds of customized QR code stickers, each one linked directly to the website. No captions, no explanations, just a simple scan away from chaos. I also placed a rush order for discreet cards that looked like wedding trivia, but with the QR code printed on one side. Every night after work, I refined my plan. I practiced my speech. I imagined their faces as their perfect little scam exploded in front of everyone. This wasn't just revenge anymore. This was justice. A betrayal that deep didn't deserve silence. It deserved exposure at the exact moment they thought they had won. The week of the wedding arrived, and I became the best actress of my life. Smiling, laughing, hugging, all while carrying a secret that would turn the happiest day of their lives into their worst nightmare. Every time Cassandra called to check in, I was sweet as honey. Ryan? I kissed him, pretended to melt in his arms, acting like the happiest bride-to-be on earth. Behind the scenes, my plan was unfolding like clockwork. The customized trivia cards arrived 2 days before the wedding, elegant, perfectly matching the wedding's color scheme. On one side, sweet little fun facts about me and Ryan. On the other side, a discreet, harmless-looking QR code that no one would think twice about scanning. The morning of the wedding, I was calm, too calm. Emma met me at the venue, helping me distribute the cards. We placed one at each guest's seat, including the bridal party, and a few at the entrance table for people who arrived early. I made sure Dad's seat had a card too. I wanted everyone to see the truth, no exceptions. Even the wedding planner complimented me on the unique guest interaction idea. If only she knew. My heart pounded, but not from nerves, from power. For once, I was fully in control. The ceremony started. Guests arrived dressed to the nines, taking their seats, picking up the cards, some even scanning them right away, thinking it was a cute wedding game. I could hear the murmurs starting before I even walked down the aisle. People's expressions shifted. Confusion, then shock, then pure disgust. Cassandra was too busy fixing her lipstick to notice. Ryan was chatting with his groomsmen, oblivious. But I watched the chain reaction. People whispering, guests pointing at their phones, others gasping quietly. My father's smile faded as he looked down at his phone. By the time I stood at the top of the aisle, the room wasn't filled with joy anymore. It was filled with tension, with disbelief, with quiet rage. And neither Ryan nor Cassandra had any idea the avalanche that was about to crush them. As the ceremony began, I walked slowly down the aisle, my smile steady, but my heart pounding with something far more thrilling than bridal jitters. The room wasn't full of smiles anymore. It was full of whispers. An uneasy tension spread like wildfire. Guests glanced at me, then back at their phones. I could hear it, a low ripple of shock moving through the crowd. Whispers turned into gasps. Friends exchanged looks. Some guests shifted uncomfortably in their seats. The older relatives frowned in confusion, while younger guests huddled together, eyes glued to their screens. Emma stood at the back, giving me the slightest nod. Everything was unfolding perfectly. I caught sight of my father halfway down the aisle. His expression had changed. His brows furrowed, his lips pressed into a tight line as he stared at his phone. Cassandra, standing elegantly beside him, remained blissfully unaware, occasionally fixing her hair and glancing back toward me with that fake, supportive smile. Ryan stood at the altar, his usual smug grin plastered on his face. He didn't have a clue. His groomsmen started whispering amongst themselves, some shooting glances in his direction, their smiles vanishing. The officiant fumbled with his notes, visibly distracted. It was working. Every time another guest scanned the QR code, more ripples of shock traveled through the crowd. Phones were discreetly passed around. Screens were shown to people sitting nearby. Eyes widened, jaws dropped. I had planted a silent bomb, and it was detonating right before their eyes. Quietly, ruthlessly, perfectly timed. There was no stopping it now. Every filthy text, every sleazy picture, every plan they made behind my back. It was all there, open to everyone, impossible to deny or explain away. And the best part? Ryan and Cassandra still thought this was the happiest day of their lives. They had no idea their downfall was just moments away. By the time I reached the front of the aisle, the air was thick with tension. The smiles were gone. The room felt like a boiling pot, seconds from overflowing. And I was the one holding the lid. The officiant's voice sounded shaky as he welcomed everyone. People weren't paying attention. Heads were down, fingers scrolling, whispers growing louder. Ryan shifted from foot to foot, his usual cocky smile faltering. He leaned over to one of his groomsmen, whispering something, but the groomsman just shrugged, avoiding eye contact. Then my father's phone buzzed again. I saw him glance at it, then at Cassandra, his jaw clenched, a vein pulsing near his temple. He whispered something to her, but she brushed it off, offering a quick smile before focusing her eyes on me, still pretending everything was perfect. Except it wasn't. The room was restless now. Some guests stood up, others exchanged shocked glances. A few older relatives put their phones away, uncomfortable. Emma had moved to the side aisle, observing it all, arms crossed, satisfied. Ryan's phone buzzed. He took it out, just for a second, and I saw it. The moment his grin vanished, his eyebrows knit together in confusion as he tapped the screen, probably opening the same link as everyone else. His mouth parted slightly, shoulders stiffened, and a faint panic spread across his face. Cassandra noticed his reaction and quickly leaned in, asking something. Ryan turned to her, his lips moving fast, his free hand waving slightly, frantic. Cassandra took out her phone, unlocking it in a rush. I watched it happen, her eyes squinting at the screen, reading the first few words, then her expression twisting into absolute horror. She swallowed hard, looked around, suddenly hyper-aware of the crowd. People were watching them now. Phones were pointed. Videos were being recorded. Judgment was written on every single face. Dad stood, stepping a few feet away from Cassandra, his expression frozen in betrayal. Ryan looked pale. Cassandra's hands shook. I just stood there, bouquet in hand, smile wide. They weren't in control anymore. I was. And the ceremony hadn't even started properly yet. The officiant tried to push through, clearing his throat and forcing a smile. If there is anyone here who has reason why these two should not be joined in marriage, speak now or forever hold your peace. That was my moment. I took a deep breath, stepped forward, and turned to face the crowd. My heart wasn't racing anymore. It was calm, steady, empowered. I actually do, I said, loud and clear. Every head turned, silence washing over the venue like a crashing wave. The officiant blinked in shock. Ryan's jaw literally dropped, and Cassandra's lips parted, but no sound came out. I pivoted to face them both. I'd like to thank everyone for coming today, I began, my voice unwavering. Especially those who already checked out the little link provided. For those who haven't, don't worry, you'll have plenty of time to catch up after this. Gasps echoed through the room. I pointed at Ryan. This man, the one I was supposed to marry today, has been sleeping with my stepmother. I turned sharply to Cassandra. Behind my back, while pretending to build a life with me. More murmurs, people grabbing their phones again, confirming what they read was true. And you, I turned to Cassandra, my voice laced with disgust. You weren't just betraying me. You were betraying my father, the man who gave you everything. My father's fists clenched by his side, his face a painful mixture of anger and devastation. I took a small step back, raising my voice. I won't be getting married today, but I will be walking away, free from liars, manipulators, and parasites. The room erupted. Some guests clapped, others shouted, many filmed every second. Ryan tried to step toward me, babbling some pathetic excuse, Cassandra reaching out with trembling hands. But I backed away, holding my head high. Today wasn't their day anymore. It was mine, and I owned every second of it. The wedding was over before it even started. The room had exploded in chaos after my revelation. Some guests stormed out in disgust. Others stayed glued to their phones, recording every meltdown happening in real time. Ryan tried to save face, but there was no saving anything. His college friends, his co-workers, even distant relatives were all there, witnessing his most humiliating moment. People who once admired him couldn't look him in the eye. His groomsmen avoided him, whispering among themselves, clearly embarrassed to have stood by his side. Cassandra. She was shaking, tears streaming down her face. She turned to my father, grabbing his arm, desperate for any kind of support. But my father, the man who had adored her, shoved her hand off with a look of pure betrayal. Get away from me, he spat before walking out in front of everyone. I later found out Cassandra tried to salvage her reputation, but the damage was irreparable. Within days, the scandal spread beyond the wedding guests. People in town talked. My father's business partners talked. Social media didn't hold back either. Screenshots from the website went viral in local circles, and the gossip spread like wildfire. My father filed for divorce before the week was over, cutting Cassandra out of every financial arrangement. Their prenuptial agreement kicked in. She was left with almost nothing. Ryan's life didn't fare any better. I canceled every wedding contract in my name and, thanks to my friend Emma, secured every financial contribution I had made. He ended up having to cover most of the wedding costs, deposits lost, reputations ruined. His own family disowned him after learning the truth, disgusted with his betrayal. I didn't just walk away from that wedding. I walked away with my head high, my money intact, and their lives in shambles. They thought they could play me. But I rewrote the ending. In the days after the wedding, I expected to feel broken. But I didn't. There were no sleepless nights spent crying over lost love. There was no regret. Instead, there was clarity, like a heavy fog had finally lifted. I could finally see just how much I had settled, how much of myself I had sacrificed trying to build a future with someone so undeserving. The texts and calls came in waves. Ryan messaged nonstop for the first 3 days. Denials, excuses, pathetic justifications. He even tried to pin it all on Cassandra, saying she manipulated him, that he was weak, and it meant nothing. Classic coward's defense. I didn't respond. I never would. Cassandra, on the other hand, went from arrogance to desperation. I saw screenshots from mutual friends, posts about being betrayed, playing the victim card, claiming she was pushed into things. The world wasn't buying it. The damage was done, and it was irreversible. The best part was watching how quickly their perfect world crumbled. Ryan's career took a nosedive. His employer issued a quiet internal investigation after the scandal went viral locally, and within weeks, he was terminated under a vague, conduct unbecoming clause. Cassandra, stripped of my father's financial support, lost the glamorous lifestyle she clung to. She tried reaching out to old acquaintances, but most turned their backs. No one wants to associate with disgrace. Meanwhile, I reclaimed my life piece by piece. The freedom of waking up each day without pretending, without performing for someone else's benefit. It was liberating. I went back to the gym, something Ryan always dismissed as pointless. I reconnected with friends I had distanced myself from. I even traveled, solo trips that reminded me how capable I was on my own. I wasn't just healing, I was thriving. My father, who had been blindsided in a way that mirrored my own betrayal, leaned on me just as much as I leaned on him. We rebuilt our relationship, not out of shared pain, but out of mutual respect. He told me one evening, as we sat together overlooking the lake, "Sometimes you have to lose everything fake to gain everything real." That stuck with me. Within 6 months, I earned a promotion at work. I moved into a new apartment, mine, fully paid for by me, furnished exactly how I wanted. I started dating again, casually, but with a stronger sense of self-worth. No more settling, no more compromises for the wrong people. Ryan and Cassandra, they became a footnote in my story. Whispers of their downfalls circulated for a while, but eventually, they just disappeared into irrelevance. I didn't walk down the aisle that day. I walked into my freedom, and it was the best decision I ever made. Looking back, I realized the wedding disaster wasn't the end of my life. It was the beginning of my freedom. For too long, I clung to an image of happiness built on lies. I tried to make a life with people who didn't respect me, who didn't deserve me. That day, in front of everyone, I didn't just expose their betrayal. I reclaimed my dignity. It wasn't just about revenge. It was about closure, about finally standing up for myself in a way I never had before. I learned that sometimes the worst heartbreaks clear the path for the best versions of ourselves to rise. Ryan and Cassandra thought they ruined me. What they really did was free me. Now, every day is mine. Every choice, every victory, every peaceful morning belongs to me, and no one can take that away. To anyone out there doubting themselves, questioning their worth because of someone else's betrayal, let me be proof. Betrayal doesn't break you. It rebuilds you, stronger, wiser, untouchable. And trust me, sometimes the most beautiful chapters in life begin the moment you burn the bridge behind you.